Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation.
We are a show founded by veterans and hosted by veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on, share some of your tips with the audience to help them become better versions of themselves. If you're a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you're a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. Reach out, we will get you on. If you are feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle, or are embarrassed to share that with them, please dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make it a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. That's _MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell. This will keep you up to date with all of our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Electrocast Media and About Face Radio. This will keep you tuned into us and learn more about our great guests.
Speaking of which, our next guest is a former law enforcement professional and now owner of Public Safety UAS, his unmanned aircraft systems. His operational experience, personal crisis management, and drone technology expertise has allowed him to develop training courses designed specifically with public safety personnel in mind. These classes cover current industry trends and drone technologies while providing critical, relevant information to first responders, emergency management, and public safety officials. So without further ado, let's welcome David Young to the MisFitNation. Welcome, David.
Hey, thank you, sir.
It's awesome to have you here. I'm glad we were able to connect. Just less than a week ago, we actually were connected, I think. And once I seen your intro from, I think, Sean, I said, yeah, I got to have him on here. Sean didn't want to come on, but he wanted you to come on in his stead, I guess. So he told you to come on or volunteered to come on, however you would put it. But here we are, and I'm glad to have you here. I just gave a little blurb about you. If you don't mind, tell us a little more about yourself from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are now.
Yeah, so I'm David. I'm here local to North Carolina, born and raised. About 23 is when I decided I would pursue a law enforcement career. I went through the academy with one of the third largest city in North Carolina. That time I became an officer graduating from the academy. I was on patrol for probably about 6 years. During my time there, earned a couple of awards, Life-Saving Medal, a couple of the Officer of the Month, awards, stuff like that. And then I really went to a more specialized unit, which is a community resource team. It's kind of nicknamed the Jump Out Squad, very proactive into narcotics and guns and violence offenders. During my time with the department, I've been in 3 critical incidents. And right around that third one I was on the drone team for the department, taking classes, came across a class taught by a gentleman named Ralph, owner of Public Safety UAS at the time. I started teaching for him, and probably about 2 years ago now, he offered me the business. I purchased that from him, and that's really where we've kind of really dedicated more to public safety and grown it from there.
That's outstanding. And sometimes it just it takes a good connection to get you into the right glide path to where you go. And how far is your reach with Public Safety UAS now? Is it just North Carolina? I know with the web we can go anywhere. So do you train all over?
We just made a partnership. We've trained in North Carolina, and we've done extensive training in West Virginia. We've looked at South Carolina a little bit, but we just made a partnership that we're really going to take that really to the next step and really offer classes throughout the country.
Outstanding. I know this is a growing need for a lot of the smaller, I think departments need this class more than the larger departments right now. So I think the larger departments had their foot in the door a little earlier since they had the income, the budget set aside for these things, and say, hey, like a New York or a Charlotte in your case, they have the big money to do this stuff. And maybe they don't have the money for the training. So this is where you would step in and say, hey, look, we can do it for X and help them out. Has that been your approach right now to try to sell it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we really, our approach is, hey, we're public safety and we're teaching a class for you in your public safety agency. So what we found is even the larger departments, take North Carolina Department of Public Safety over all the corrections in North Carolina. We had a meeting with them and it went great. And in there was one of their, really high up guys. And also in there was one of their lower guys that happened to be a drone pilot. And so something that he said to me was, well, why do we need your class? And he wasn't being rude. He was asking a question. And I said, okay, understand by asking me that I'm going to put your guy in the hot seat here. And so let me go ahead and apologize. But I asked him, I said, to the drone pilot, hey, do you know what an SGI is in the drone world? And he said, no. Well, that's why you need this class, because if you don't know what an SGI is, or special government interest for public safety and drone flights, then you're telling me that you're either, saying screw the rules and doing what you want and hopefully you don't get caught, or you're not flying maybe when you should be. So yeah.
You're flying when you shouldn't be. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you get them up to FAA 107, or is that expected for them to have that before they come to your training?
No. So, I mean, pretty much all of our classes we're able to do without Part 107. The first class that we really started was a 5-day class, and it really went over Part 107, setting up a drone program, the different drones that are out there and what they're used for. It was for those departments that are really looking into getting into the drone world or expanding their drone team. So you definitely didn't need to be Part 107 for that. We did 3 days of classroom, talking about regulations, both federal and local. North Carolina and pretty much every state has their own local regulations. We'll do airspace, which is just something that if you're not a manned aviation pilot, then it's something that's going to take a minute to get, some time with. And Latin long, that's probably one of my least favorite topics to teach, but, teaching a police officer Latin long, it's like going back to 5th grade and, longitude runs north and south, but it measures east and west, right? So, so we teach that, weather, METARs, all this manned aviation knowledge that is heavy in the Part 107. And then we'll actually take them outside for 2 days and get some hands-on stick time. That first day really, spending time was, this is what your left stick does. This is what your right stick does. And then that second day really going into more how you're going to use in the public safety field, whether that be suspicious packages or looking for missing persons, et cetera, et cetera.
Definitely. There's a lot of uses in the first responder world for drones, especially. It keeps the police officer from having to go into a building if they can see inside with the camera, or on a roof to see if there is any danger from above. For fire department, the same thing. They can look in to see what they can see without going in and causing that harm that maybe they might lose a person, but then now they're just losing maybe a $300 drone instead of a human. So it adds a lot of value to the program for you.
Yes, sir.
So while you were a police officer, do you think it would have been better for you, especially with the jump out squad, to have, say, a handheld drone you can just pop up before going into like a narcotic situation? That's probably one of the toughest ones you got, or domestic, really tough things to go into. Would it be better to pop up a drone or maybe even a robot?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm still, current in law enforcement. I go back to work tomorrow, actually. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many times where we could use a drone, whether it's been, barricaded subjects, suicidal subjects, God forbid. Really just the presence of a drone sometimes can mitigate that threat. Hey, we're serious. This is the next level. and come on out. And that has happened, or certainly, you know, a different angle when it comes to our, you know, or possibly a SWAT team call out, right? Giving them a different angle of the house. One of the cool things that, you know, we've seen and they love is they get there, and our SWAT team, you know, they're massive. They have a ton of experience. I'm not a SWAT team member. I fly the drone for them. But they get there, and one of the first things they do is start, you know, hey, you go over to this side of the house, take a picture, and they start drawing it on whiteboards, right? So I say, listen, let's step in here. We can put a spotlight on the drone, drop it down to 30 feet, do a 360 of the house for you, and you can sit here and draw it out all day how you want on your own time. And we'll give them that firsthand perspective of it.
Right. It saves them a lot of energy and time, like you said, and you get real-time data, not that guy running up there, getting the sketch, coming back and saying, oh, this is what it looks like 5 minutes ago. You can stay up there for the life of the battery, depending on what drone you're using, 26 minutes or whatever it is for the system that you're using at this time.
Right.
And that provides value that you can't get back from that there. What's your favorite platform to use?
You know, probably my favorite right now would be the Enterprise 3. It's just such a, you know, affordable drone with a great camera on it for, you know, it's quick and easy to deploy. It's still a small size. You know, I would say that it's a lot of departments go to right now.
And you can put add-ons on that too. You can put the speaker on that. You can put the camera on that. You can change out the camera to FLIR as well, I believe. And so it's really handy, and it's fast. You can, if you have to go find someone that's fleeing a police officer, if you don't have the dog, the fur bullet, their fur missile, you can have the drone above him to save the cop from running his life away to catch this young man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've seen it from both sides, and now as a salesman, now you have to be a salesman too. And have you tried? I'm sure you didn't try to sell to your own department, because I think they'll frown upon that. But you can do things around to try to get them to help your own department as well. Have you had any issues with that, or what's your biggest sale right now?
You know, like you said, the department, you know, my current department, they're like, hey, we got to go through all these different channels, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. You know, and I hate to think of myself as a salesman, and I understand in a way I am, right? But I don't approach it like that. You know, I approach it to, you know, a department saying, and I have people call me every day, hey, what do you suggest? Well, I could suggest you a $20,000 package, right? The M30, but that's maybe not what's necessary, and maybe that's not what you need for your you know, your new team, especially. You know, and one of the success stories that I've heard about is, you know, we had a class a couple months ago now at a fire department, and that fire department had talked to a company, and they bought $30,000 worth of drones, 4 packages, and really 2 of those packages they'll never, you know, take out of the box. And so once they had come through the class, and there were maybe 10 of them in the class, they pretty quickly realized that, and they said, well, we wish we had known about you and all that. And so we looked a little bit more of their equipment, and it was just, you know, very clear that, you know, the salesman took advantage of them and said, well, I'm going to spend every penny of your $30,000 and, you know, leave it to you. And when they went back to him and said, hey, you know, this isn't what we want. We want the Enterprise 3. It's newer than the Enterprise Advance that you sold us, and this, that, and the other. The salesman said, well, you took the plastic wrap off. We can't take it back. And I just, you know, that's not treating people right. So
definitely isn't. Wow. That's horrible. You looked at it too long. It's yours now.
Yeah. We definitely take that approach that, hey, you know, we're public safety too. If we can save you money, we're going to save you money. We're going to tell you what we think you need, and you do what you want with that knowledge. Now, some people will say, and I've had it happen, well, yeah, that Enterprise 3 is great, but I want the M30. Hey, you know, spend away. That's okay.
If you have the budget, spend what you want to spend for. I mean,
right.
You know your pocket more than I do, and I'm here to help you make those skills better.
Right. Yeah.
Like I told you on my side, I teach the opposite side of what you do. So I'm the military side. So we train them to detect and defeat as many of that same class of drone as possible. So I do get to see a lot of the new stuff new birds that come out. I'd say the Enterprise 3 is pretty nice. The Phantom 4 was my favorite for a while because it's so versatile. It's a beautiful little rig. And I think a lot of people go to that, and especially the enemy loves those for some reason because they carry capabilities of them.
Crazy videos from Ukraine from them.
Yes, definitely. And then like the Matrice 600 or the Matrice 800, 900, 1000s for the carry capabilities. Cartels use them all the time to fly over the border, carrying drugs and stuff. So I'm not sure how much you see that in North Carolina, But as far as the opposite side of the fence carrying it, do you see that as well?
Yeah. So, that was our class that we started with, was that week-long Part 107 class. And we joke around, we have a lot of fun, but at the end of the class, I give them an eval. I say, you eval me. What can I do better to make this class better for the next, public safety coming through? And, something that I was doing in that week-long class was I was spending about an hour talking about what I call the threat of drones, right? So how are criminals using these drones to smuggle, drugs and weapons into prisons? It's happening every single day. I'll show them videos of the cartel, dropping bombs on another cartel, and I'll tell them, and I'll be straight, with you as well. I'm not going to pretend to care that, one cartel is using a drone to drop bombs on another cartel. But I tell them, think of that and take it, Christmas parade, or God forbid a school, and it's my personal opinion that we're, one 9/11 terroristic attack, the next one's going to be using drones. And so we spend, an hour showing them videos. Hey, here's a Glock that somebody's put on or a Glock that somebody's put on a drone, and it's, it's firing and it's working. Imagine if that happens to your agency tomorrow. And I'll end it with, talking about, at least in that 1 hour originally, I was ending it with asking, the chief in the classroom or the captain or the sergeant, hey, this happens to your agency tomorrow. What are you doing? Right. And so there's a lot of whole blank stares and I don't knows. And then, of course, you're talking to cops. So somebody's like, well, I'm just going to shoot the thing down. Right. I'm like, listen, I know I've seen, in my department, there's people that can't shoot at 25 yards, let alone if they're abiding by law 400 feet. Right. It's just not going to happen.
And move it.
Let's say that there's a secondary device on the thing. Right. You've just created its own, payload drop. So that's just not a great idea. Right. So in my evals, I was getting a whole lot of, well, great, you scared us. Now can you tell us, have a class, talk about more of how, criminals are using drone. Let's go into more detail about it. And then let's get to the counter UAS stuff. So we've really branched into that. And that's what, Sean is really excelling in. You spoke to him and getting into that, counter UAS world and get the information out there to the law enforcement and fire. Hey, there are, companies out there. There are tools out there. Maybe we don't have the mitigation, equipment ready for us, but at least we have the detection, and let's, detect the drone, let's detect the pilot, and let's go, stop this madness from, happening. And we're seeing a lot of that early success in our prison systems. We have a pilot program right now in a Virginia facility that we've had some success with. So that's been great.
Yeah, we've seen a lot I think Ohio was the first state that was reporting the contraband getting flown in, and a lot of it, not just a little bit. Like you're saying, they're flying weapons, drugs, money, anything possible to get into their friends. But they were also forgetting that there's cameras on most prisons that see things, and they can follow you back to your car or wherever you're flying from. So they wound up being roommates in the prison as well. But that doesn't stop them from doing it because it's so cheap to do that. It's a lot cheaper to fly that in and maybe risk a couple of years in jail for getting that in there and keeping it alive, I guess, with not getting your family killed for that side, for the enemy side. And I know it's spreading like wildfire and throughout this country. And like you said, it happens every single day. And it's just
every day.
And at any time, it's going to wind up being at school. It's going to wind up being a kid's football game or something like that. And then what are we going to do? Are we going to react, or are we going to already have systems in place to stop it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
there's no wonder that they're doing it, and I'll be honest, until I had a class of all correction officers, I was kind of ignorant to the stuff that was going on in there. It blew my mind that a soda cap, of tobacco, not marijuana, but tobacco goes for $25. Well, no wonder they're flying pounds into it. So we've talked to some facilities that have said, every single day they're seeing, at shift change, 2 drones fly into their system to drop packages, and they really don't know what to do about it, and really haven't done anything about it.
Exactly. And I think part of it's the newness, the new shiny object. They don't know what to do. And then part of it is, I don't want to see it happening. So I don't want to admit we have this problem. If I admit that I have this problem, that means I'm perceived as not doing my job. So
Absolutely.
a lot of leadership doesn't want to do that. It's understandable, but on the other hand, you also have to admit that you need help and reach out. And there's something.
Yeah, we've seen that as well. Talking to wardens. Hey, here are, and we got lucky. It wasn't me; it was another agency. But they stopped a car. It had 2 drones. It had pounds and pounds of tobacco and 5 or 6 cell phones, all packaged with a string, so they could go and drop it. And I wasn't there, but from my understanding, they took this stuff to the warden and he turned the cheek to it. He just, again, he didn't want to realize that, hey, this is a problem and it's going on. That's great. But, the fact that you don't want to recognize it, it's still going to happen.
Exactly. No matter how much you put your blinders on, like horse blinders, and say, this isn't happening in my place. This isn't happening in my house. There's people on the outside like yourself and your brothers and sisters that are out there on the street that see these people that are planning to do it and then successfully do it right in front of them. So it has to, you have to open their eyes, and I guess it'll take someone getting hurt inside their facilities to realize.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. That's usually, unfortunately, that's usually what it takes to correct that issue.
Yes, sir.
So where do you see yourself and Public Safety UAS in 5 years?
Man, that's a crazy question. I mean, we are, to be honest, when I purchased the company, the guy who I purchased it from, he was teaching at 2 schools and 2 classes at each school a year, so 4 classes. So when I bought the company, I said, I want to do 8 classes. If I can do 8 classes the next year, which was 2022, I think it was, I said I'll feel successful. And we did almost 30 classes in that first year, and we already have that scheduled to the next. So it's definitely growing. The team's growing, the partnerships are growing, and we've made a lot of connections. And I enjoy meeting people, and going to the UAV commercial expo in Vegas is great. You just meet so much, and there's so much knowledge out there. And to be honest, originally, I said I never want to leave policing. I love what I do. I truly am passionate about law enforcement, and the people that I work with are like family to me. And then, I was involved in a critical incident maybe almost a year and a half ago now. It was a shooting. The person didn't die. It was, pretty straightforward, but just the politics in the area, I was basically put on ice for a year. Wow. And that was bad enough, over a year, and that was bad enough, right? I'm seeing my friends. I can't help them, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to an office and not, doing what I got into law enforcement to do, which was to help people and work with the people around me. And that was awful. To make that worse, I got a call one night on a Sunday night at 9:00 from my attorney, which is never a good thing, right? And he said, hey, just got to let you know, the rumor is that your stuff's going to grand jury tomorrow. I'm thinking, goodness, why? So it didn't, but it was the most stressful night of my life. Stressful for my wife. And so I said, you know what, if we can grow this big enough, if, the team and I can make this big enough, then, maybe I don't need to be in law enforcement anymore. So kind of see where that's going. And in 5 years, I see that, drone programs are going to get bigger and bigger. DFR, or the Drone First Responder Program, is huge right now. There's, from my knowledge, only one agency in North Carolina has it. It's an agency that's close to me in Winston-Salem. They're having some great success with it, but I really see that that's where law enforcement and public safety is going with it. And I certainly want to, continue to help public safety in every way that I can. We have an indoor flight class that we just rolled out 2 weeks ago, and, seeing people come to that class and not really succeeding at flying a drone indoors, but then that second day that they come, they're doing it by themselves and flying it down hallways and thanking, me for the class and thanking my team for helping them. That's huge. And I think that might, still keep me in the door as far as working with public safety and giving those guys the tools and training that they need and keeping me involved with it.
I think that's what you'll need, especially after your experience over the last year and a half, that you'll still be able to help your brothers and sisters in blue and the rest of the first responders, but you're able to go home at night and sit with your wife and have a nice dinner and not worry about people investigating you for looking at them wrong and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, being a police officer is stressful. Having a wife that's a police officer is more stressful. But yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of blue lines in the house. So
yes, sir.
So thank both of you for what you do there. And
thank you.
And I know it's not easy, especially if you're not on the same shift. So if you're not on the same shift, you don't know what's going on with your loved one for that 8 to 12 hours, how many hours you guys do.
Yeah.
And hoping that they come back and not wind up in a critical incident like you were.
Not having a phone call is generally a good thing, right? Yeah.
Right. Generally, yes.
Yep.
So when you was anyone else in your family in law enforcement before you, or is that just something hey, I want to do this?
First one. So
you broke the ice there too. That's good.
Sir.
And your wife as well, was she the first one in her family?
She was, yeah. She actually started as a crime scene investigator. She has a forensics degree, and her ultimate dream job is to get into, the family victims unit, or to be a homicide detective is ultimately her dream job. And she'll have no problem getting there. But yeah, she's the first one.
That's outstanding. So you're both doing great things, leading a direction with a great career path, and now you have a path out of it as well. So that's perfect for both of you. So
Yes,
if you can give advice to someone thinking about getting into law enforcement, especially in this day and age, if you can give them 3 tips right now, what would you give them?
I keep telling people that, law enforcement is a more specialized profession with less qualified individuals, unfortunately. My tips for them would be, don't take anything personal. Try to ignore the politics and the drama and the squeaky wheels, so to speak, of the media, and go out there and do you and do the best job that you can. That's really what my team and I do. And we honestly love what we do. I go to work and I have fun at work. It's not a job to me. And those would be probably the best tips that I could give somebody.
That's outstanding. And going to a job where you're happy going to it makes it a lot easier to wake up in the morning or wake up and go to that job, that shift every day, and then strap on and go protect the streets of your town or close to your community. And I think there's no better gift that you can give to your community than to serve it. And you're doing it from the law enforcement side. So that's outstanding.
Yes, sir.
And now I have to ask you tips on business running. I mean, you're a young businessman now, and you have a different approach than most, like you said earlier. If you could give someone tips on starting a business and maybe keeping it afloat and pushing it in the right direction, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, go for it and treat people right. That's really what, any of my instructors and I try and do is, we're going to go forward and treat you right. And I tell every single student that comes to the class, I call them students, but, public safety professional that comes to the class, after this class, and I usually try and end it with this, after this class, I'm still a resource for you. The number they get right now is my personal number. I haven't had anybody abuse it, thank goodness. But, hey, if I can help you, in some kind of way, please don't hesitate to text, call, email, whatever. All of my team, we're here for you. We want to see you guys succeed. And that's honestly the most rewarding part to this business right now is, having that, new person in your class, the poor fellow that his job has, or his, agency has tasked him, hey, you go to this class and you come back and you set us up a drone team. It's a daunting task, but it's been great to see it happen and see it succeed and hear their success stories. We put out a newsletter every month and we get success stories from, the agencies that we've taught that we'll put into that. Or having the media go and, hey, we're going to film this department because they found this missing person and we want to get the knowledge out there. That's awesome. It honestly blows my mind every time I go to West Virginia. I have family from there. It's a beautiful state, but it's, the largest department, I think off the top of my head, is like 60 people. I've done, 12 classes. I've got another 3 classes scheduled there. I'm going there in 2 weeks. It just blows my mind that I'm like, I've had to teach every public safety professional in the state of West Virginia, but we'll keep going with it. And you meet a lot of cool people that way. And it's been a lot of fun.
And you branch your network out too. So that's good. Your reach gets a lot further because I'm sure they have people that know people and through their network, and your name and your business will pop up in their Rolodex as well.
Yes, sir.
So next question would be, where can people find you to get in contact with you and your team to maybe have you come out to their department?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have people, you can easily find us on our Facebook page, Public Safety UAS Institute, our Instagram, Public Safety UAS, our Facebook page, Public Safety UAS Institute. I think I said that one, but our website, publicsafetyuas.net. Absolutely. Find us, find our classes. We do the Part 107 class, the indoor flight class, the threat of drones class, and we're working on a mapping and traffic reconstruction class right now that, if there's a class that somebody wants to see, we're going to make it happen for them. We're going to get it to them. We have people reach out to us this week from Ohio. We've just made this partnership with Blue Shield Tactical that, he has a strong footprint in the, United States. We're going to work with him to get these classes, everywhere that we can.
Awesome. And the website is scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. David, thank you again for agreeing to come on and being your first podcast. So this is outstanding. I'm glad to be your stepping stool, your stepping off point there until you get to Joe Rogan show. Don't forget us little guys, and keep doing the great things you're doing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll be back in 2 and 2. Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. It's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are